Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to episode 114 of In a Good Way podcast. I'm just going to do this one by myself and share a little bit. So it's funny because I was just gonna do something about my first synchronicity, right? I wanted to talk about that. I know now it's common, right? And now it has that name, synchronicity. But when I first experienced this, I was fairly young and you know, there was really no name for it, or it was just more like a what in the world, like it was just crazy. I guess back then we called it more like divinely guided or what's going on here. But the reason it came up was because I've been on this binge of listening to Zapp and Roger. If you guys are familiar with who Zapp and Roger, the group, right? Roger Troutman was actually killed by his brother, unfortunately, right? But they made this amazing music that when hip hop started, or rap at least, right? Like I guess West Coast rap specifically. Um Everyone was sampling their music, right? It was like anyone, I don't know if Easy and all them, I'm sure they did, Dr. Dre, all them at some point, but mostly like I don't know, a lot of like gangster rappers, they did, right? Like they definitely I could probably name like 20 people that sampled at least, or 30 people that sampled Zapp and Roger beat to make their song. Well, yeah, Dr. J did actually, I think. Well, no, it was on the, I know, on the Tupac album, like I think they did. I'm almost sure. I think on the All Eyes on Me album, even they sampled still, right? Because by then it had already been used so many times. But all that to say, there was this song called Computer Love, right? Computer love, computer love. And what do you call it? That song was what I wrote my first song to, right? I had already been writing music since I was like maybe a sophomore in high school. I started writing raps over other people's beats, right? Like I'll hear a Snoop Dogg song and I'm like, oh, I like that. And I'll write a verse or something. But when I finally said, okay, I have to write a song, my first song when I was probably like 17 that I wrote a complete song was to that Computer Love beat, right? But instead of Computer Love, I called it California Thugs, because that's what, it was like California Thugs, my Cali Thug, whatever, so. But and I was always trying to get this beat, right? This Computer Love beat that so many, but it was so back then, right? Oh, that's the reason everybody sampled Zapp and Roger, because it was very funky, right? So it had this boom, boom. It was very, and it's called Computer Love, and it was like, I guess things were starting to get more computerized, because I think that was already from, like, I don't know if it was from the 70s, 80s, what, but all that funk, right? That funk that had started, or I don't know if they came later, right? I really don't know. I can't remember, but they had, so it was really hard to duplicate that sound, which is why people would just sample. But I didn't know anything about that. I even tried to remake, once I got equipment, I tried to remake it, but it was hard to get those kind of like the way they twisted the bass around, or tweaked it around. It was this amazing sound, right? Which is why everybody used it. So to not keep adding to this story, right? I don't know. It's just funny though, right? Because that song, like, it popped in my head. I was listening to it today as I was driving on repeat, right? I don't know if you guys ever seen like the video. There's this little girl, and I love this video, right? She's like in this really zen thing, doing this thing to like, I don't know what the original one is, right? Because I think people added so many things to this video of this little girl, right? She's like that, like all zened out. And that's how I feel. I was like, wow, when I listen to this song specifically, it's like it hits me to my core. I don't think I've ever been in love with I mean, I probably have, right? But I'm actually like in love with this musical piece. Like it hits me to like on a whole nother, like, I love this piece of music so much. Like, it makes me feel like that. Like I'm in the Zen thing just listening to it. That's why I could listen to it on repeat and repeat and repeat this Computer Love song, right? Um, so that's why I wrote to it. I wanted to use it. So, anyways, fast forward to talk about the synchronicity, right? Because I know I'm kind of well, it's the story, right? It's part of the story. So, anyways, yeah. So I wrote my first song to this Computer Love beat, right? When I was 17. a few years later, finally, after I formed a group with my friend, right? We got in a group together, we started writing songs together. We had recorded already like 3 songs that were more his concept, right? Which made it on our first album, but it took us years to record that first album because, money and all kinds of stuff, right? So I had this friend, right? She was a good friend. And so one day, I guess, it was like 3 sisters, right? It was like her, and then she had an older sister and a younger sister. Her older sister, she was real pretty, and then her older sister was pretty. Even her younger sister, like they were all pretty, right? Her older sister, I guess, had met this producer, this and that, and she said, "Oh, my sister met this guy. He's in the music industry." She already knew like I did music, so she's like, "Oh, I got a CD with his music on it. It had like 12 musical pieces, right?" And it had been hard to get. Like I think I tried to hire a producer to make me like remake that Computer Love beat, and I just couldn't find, like, he didn't do a good job, right? So it was like I couldn't get the right beats to like the songs I had written. I had the first song I wrote was this one California Thugs and some other song called Adolescence, and then which I had made the beat, but it just wasn't up to like, I was new to it, so it wasn't to that level where I felt comfortable that okay, we could put this out. So, she's like, oh, my older sister, she's dating this guy, or she met this guy and he has this CD. She hands me a CD with his music, and has like 12 songs on it. And oddly enough, it was like there was a beat on there that went with the California Thug song, my Adolescent song, and this other song I had written, right? So, and then we were able to use the other beats too. They went perfect. Like we were able to write to them. So I ended up buying like 6 beats from him, right? But it was crazy. That was the synchronicity. It was like, how is it possible that out of all things, 3 of the beats on there went perfect with the songs we already had? They were the same tempo, the same, tempo is beats per minute, right? Like the same, like exactly. They had the same vibe to it. And then even one of the beats had Computer Love, but it took a while to register. It was like, wait a second, they sampled, but it was so different that you would never really know it was Computer Love. But after I was like, wait a second, this Computer Love. Like they tweaked it in a different way and kind of modernized it. It was amazing the way they did it, right? So I was able to do my California Thug song, right? So hopefully you guys are staying with me, because it was just so like, it's one of those things that it was like, what? Like, how is this? Like, dude, this is like a blessing, right? Like it's amazing. Like, so it got me excited to like, oh wow, we have the beats to 3 of our songs already. Then we already recorded the other 3 songs, so it was like our album was coming together, right? And then there was a few other beats on there. Like I said, another 3 songs on there. So that's 9 songs already. And back then I think most albums were like 16 songs. So we were on our way, right? Thanks to this thing. And then after that, even I was telling my friend, like, oh man, I really want to record, and she's like, oh, like how much is it for the studio time or whatever? And I like, it comes out about this much to record a song. And then she cut me a check, and it was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? And so that once we caught that bug, we recorded that first song that like we caught the bug. So then it was like, oh, we gotta hustle and make the rest of this money to keep recording, right? Because both of us felt it, right? It was like, man, we have to like it was just no better feeling, right? Like once, I mean, we had already recorded 3 songs, but I don't know why. I think we had taken a little break because we weren't coming up with the money, and then and then after that, that kind of. But it was funny because all that to say, then I told my friend that. See, so I acknowledged. I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like, what are the chances? Like everything just fell into place perfectly. And I try to tell my friend that, right? Like every once in a while we would meet up and go, go to a bar or something. I guess I must have been or I don't know if we would go eat or go to a bar or something. I must have been already like 21 by then. And then what do you call it? Then I told her that I was like, man, this is crazy. Like, you came in. I was trying to explain that you came into my life perfect, and like I was trying to express the impact she's had on my life in a good way, right? Like, damn, you literally got like with my dreams, right, about making music. Like you literally, boom, pushed me. And then it's funny, she took it the wrong way. She's like, "What, you think I was put here on earth for you?" It's like, what in the hell? Like that's not even what I meant. So back then, imagine like before the famous world of YouTube and like no one understood synchronicities, no one understood uh I was already starting to see the design, right? Like, what? Like, this is too perfect. Like, it's almost scripted. Like, who wrote this, right? Like, there's no way. So I don't know if I was able to drive that point across, right? But it was that big to me at that young age, right? It was like, dude, there's no way this all ended up so perfect, right? Um, like there's no way. It's too scripted. It's too perfect. The way the songs went perfect with these music, the way, and then she helped me because back then I think studio time was definitely more expensive, right? Um, you know what I mean? It was harder to record stuff and just with regular life, right? Like stuff like that, right? It was right back then. I think studio time was still more reserved. That's why you only saw like the big artists, right? Like everyone, the goal was to get signed and this and that because I mean, we got lucky. I think one of the first producers, he took us to a studio that was like $500,000, right? Stuff like that. But then we had a clash, and so that didn't work out. So stuff like that, right? Like back then, to really get things going, it was harder. So even that, when my friend Cuddy just she like, oh, how much is it? Boom, here's the check. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? So it was just crazy. And I told her, I tried to explain that to her, like, man, I was trying to say, like, man, you're like this angel for me or something. And I don't know, maybe it was the drink or something. And she was like, what, you think I was put here for you? And I was just like, what the hell did I say? So it was funny, right? Who knows? Maybe I didn't have the tact I have now of trying to explain things, right? Just from experience. So, anyways, here's something cool that just happened. So, I wrote my fourth book, right? It's called Mi Familia Historical. That picture there, like from the 1930s or something, right? I still don't know if I'm gonna release it, right? Like this is my grandpa, right? Like see, it's all pictures. See, you could see right there. Oh, 1928, right? It says 19. See, that's the back of it, right? 1928. 42828. That's pretty funny. I hadn't that is 2828, which is 1010, which is completion. So that's pretty interesting, right? But this was definitely spiritually guided, right? I kind of feel bad because now that I think about it, I think my godmother was the one that started this whole journey of this book, right? And I forgot to there's pictures of her in it, right? It was funny because there's pictures of her in it, but in the acknowledgments, right? Because one of the people that was visiting me in the spirit world was like my dad's aunt, which is she's the one right here in the her, right? There's a lot of pictures, not a lot, but there's a lot of pictures of her. I love her name too. Her name is Isaura, but with a Y, right? So I had never heard that name before. I don't even know if I looked it up. I'm sure it means something, right? But I'm gonna do it right now. But she's the one that was guiding me and all this stuff, right? Isaura. Um, she's the one that was guiding me. Is often interpreted as Isaura, indicating oh, it's like a location. Been associated with qualities such as independence, strength, and beauty, reflecting the esteemed characteristic attributed to those who bear it. That's funny. And she has this amazing energy, right? Because even at first I was feeling her energy, and then um I asked my dad, right? Because I had to ask him all these things. So most of these things, right? I had to ask him like, hey, who was in? Oh, this is awesome, right? Because there's something that is very significant to me about in an interview I did, there was something that popped up. This is Isla Siwat, right? Um the La Mujer Blanca de Color. It's a volcano, right? It's two volcanoes in Puebla, Mexico. Well, it's the border, right? Mexico, I guess it's Mexico state, the state line with Puebla and Mexico, right? But Isla Siwat and Popocatépetl. I think that's a Popocatépetl. I forgot. I don't know. I'm not pronouncing it right, right? But it's the story of, if you guys ever seen the Aztec warrior holding the dead princess, right? That's what those volcanoes represent, and it's a beautiful story, and I have a very close connection to that, right? So, anyways, yeah, when I saw this picture, I think it's from like the 1930s, right? So it's beautiful, and there's just so many, like. But anyways, what I was saying about my godmother, yeah, she was one of the ones that originally started this whole journey with this book. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to release it quite yet, but it came out really good, right? It's kind of like I had done this. I look at this. This isn't. See, like in Vera, it was funny because that's when they started coloring pictures, and you could tell they colored over this guy's face, right? I don't know if you could, or this guy's head or his body. You see, like whoever was trying to paint the pictures, but it was like, they weren't even really black and white. They were more sepia, right? And this is a place that my grandpa worked for that, because they built dams and bridges and all. See, that was 1944, I think. I think on the back it must have said 44 or something like that. Because when I put like an exact year, it was because on the back it would have like it has writing on there, so it must say 44 on there, right? Tunnel of Tecali, Puebla, Mexico, right? So yeah, so there's all these old, I'm into that kind of stuff. So it's like you know, pictures that I think will be at a museum. Look at these are loggers. I don't know what the Jeep. I try to look it up and it looks like Jeeps from the 1940s. It'd be cool if someone actually see, and you can see the picture was damaged, and the crazy thing about these pictures, they're like this small. They're really tiny pictures. And when I scanned them, maybe had this been like 10 years ago, the scanners weren't that great yet, the quality, right? So, um, but that's the spirit that I'm sharing it because the spiritual aspect. I talked about I had this out of body experience and all these spirits were all around and I didn't get freaked out. It was just weird, right? It was a crazy experience that I was surrounded by all these spirits and then my dad handed me a bag of all these old photographs and this isn't even half of the photos, right? So um it's really exciting, right? It's my fourth book. I kind of I'm like, I don't know, because sometimes I don't, it seems like I'm very open here, but I don't really like to, like, so I don't know, maybe I'll just leave it for my family kind of thing, or I am gonna nah, I think I will publish like most likely, right? um you know there's these amazing ones, right? Like I love this because it's my grandma writing to my grandpa, right? And like the love, right? I'm just like, wow, like that's crazy how it was back then, right? That someone could write those kind of words for somebody, right? Like it seems like a soap opera. I long to be with you, and I'm like, oh wow, like damn, like my grandma loved my grandpa, like that's crazy, right? Like it was pretty crazy to read that, right? So I included that. I mean, I don't feel like, that's the thing is I want to respect, like, yeah, I want to respect everything about, I know they already passed away, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like they gave me the goal. Even right now, as I'm saying that, see, I feel like they're telling me like that, like, dude, you're good, no worries, like it's all good. So yeah, I didn't even include half the photos in there. Did I finish the thing about the synchronicity? Because I'm like, damn, did I jump from one subject to another? I mean, I always do anyways, but yeah. So I'm really excited. It just came today. I was actually already gonna do the thing about the synchronicities, and that's it, a short video, because it's been in my head, right? Like I just that whole computer love thing, it popped in my head, and I was like, wow, that was like one of the first synchronicities where it was like so big, but I just didn't know what to call it back then. Before YouTube, before all that, and what do you call it? Yeah, and then it arrived, right? I got a notification, oh, your package has arrived, and I was like, what? So I ran outside and I got it, right? They had left it. Oh, cause yeah, this is the for me to check it out before the not for resale thing, so I could it's funny because this became popular, the little Edgar haircuts or whatever, or the little bowl haircuts, and the little kid right there had it right. He's on top of this old car. There's a man right there too. And so yeah, I love that photograph too, right? And the hairs were crazy. The hairdos were really crazy. It's watch. There's this awesome one, and then that's it. I won't show more where's it? There's this one that's I didn't really do it in order. I was trying to at first, and then I kept finding other photographs that I wanted to include. I just have like a really brief introduction. You know what I mean? Like 2 pages of an introduction talking about a little history about my family. Oh, this is cool because I think I have the photograph of my dad. See, like my grandpa, yeah, my grandpa in the Mexican army kind of thing. Um, man, there was one I wanted to show. Yeah, not that many. It's probably only like a little over 100 photos or something. Oh yeah, and then I included the stamps on some, which I know kind of, but see like this, so you could tell that when they were in TJ, because my dad told me that the photos were all like taken in Mexico, right? But when they were in TJ, I think they had to cross the border to get them done, right? Because even this, right, it has see, where is it? August 6th, 1931, San Diego. See, it has the stamp. So they would have to cross. Um, they would have to cross. So I included that just as proof, right? So, well, you could see even on my grandpa's where it said 1928. So, yeah. But anyways, oh yeah, whatever. I know I was looking for a photo, but okay. So that oh yeah, real quick, I wanted to talk about that interview I just did with Ana Cecilia. So many jewels in that, so many gems in that interview. Uh, she was just talking a lot about a lot of things that resonated with me. So, especially that since she was young, it reminded me, right? Because I know I hadn't been doing interviews in a little bit. It reminded me of why I love doing them, especially like those the NDEs where her condition was diagnosed at an early age, right? Where nobody expected her to live, and it always gives you a different gratitude for life, right? And how tomorrow's not promised, and even that, right? I always emphasize that. And I was just talking to a friend, about the music because the music has been coming back up. What in the world just happened? Did you guys see that? A thumbs up just hopped on my screen. What in the world is that? And where did that come from? I don't even know. So that was crazy. Okay, so I don't know. I'm supposed to be talking about this, but obviously, if a thumbs up just popped up, I don't even know where that came from. That was crazy. A big old thumbs up. I think I was talking to someone once, and the same thing happened to them. They're like, "Oh, I don't know what I was saying at the moment," and the thumbs up went. So that was crazy, right? So okay, about Donna Cecilia, right? So I was talking to a friend, and I was mentioning because he had got to do because I ended up doing this song, and the whole thing is, but Bone Thugs and Harmony is the reason I started doing music. And so I saw that they were saying, "Oh, be able to get a feature from Bone Thugs and this and that," and they charge a certain amount, and I did it right. So I was able to do a song with two of the guys from Bone Thugs, right? Because they had this like limited thing that get a feature from Bone Thugs, and I was like, wow, I like they were why I started. Why not? If I was gonna die tomorrow, why not do it? And my friend years ago, he had done a song with one of his favorite artists. And so we had just been talking because I was like, oh, he saw the song I did with Bone Thugs, this and that. And then he had done a song with this one rapper named Chino XL, and he just passed away. I don't even think they say, but he was healthy, right? So I don't know if they've said how he passed away, if he had a heart attack or what. Very healthy guy, super like buff, this and that. And my friend had done a song, we had just mentioned, and then boom, And I always tell my friend like that kind of stuff, right? Like, hey, like that's why I don't waste time, Like I even sometimes I release songs that I know like it kills me because I could have mixed them better or something, and I just didn't have they closed down the studio I used to record at after like during the pandemic. So I've been trying to learn, but it's that's my thing. I could write a song, the creative thing, no problem. But when it comes to all the engineering and all that, I'm trying to like to get better and better at that, right? But I release things because I'm like, I'm not gonna hold on to it Because whatever, if I die tomorrow, I really like this song. I'm gonna release it. It is what it is. I could always come back and remaster it, re-release it later, right? So that's why I'll just do that. But anyways, we were talking about Chino Excel because he had done that song with him. So rest in peace to him. And my friend had done that song with him, and then boom, he just passed away like 2 days ago or something like that, right? Um, really talented hip hop artist, right? Really good lyricist. So he just passed away. And yeah, just like that. Tomorrow's not promised. So I like to, and that's what, like Ana Cecilia, it really drove that point of all the things she went through with her. I mean, before she even had Dandy, already just being kind of diagnosed with a condition that I think she said that they believe she's the oldest living person with that condition, right? Or she was at a time, but I think yeah, she must be, right? So what else was I? Oh yeah, yeah. So just that. There's so many jewels. Yeah, if you haven't watched that interview, check it out because so many jewels in there. She's very knowledgeable. It was such an easy interview for me because I didn't say I think she told her whole story like in the beginning. And I just let her share the story, you know, and yeah. So I love listening to her story. And a lot of times, like I said, a lot of times I speak like we had already spoken, me and her, before the interview, and then it was like, okay, let's cut it. Let's go ahead because all this stuff I know, I don't know what's all of a sudden like my throat thing. So is there something else I'm supposed to say, or I think that's enough? I think I'm gonna cut it there. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, oh, the last thing. Okay, this was the last thing I was gonna say today. I put a little short with the feathers, right? It's funny because I don't know. I wasn't feeling it, but I feel like I need to climb the mountain. That's my purification ceremony all the time. Like by the time I climb the mountain, I'm pouring sweat, boom, 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 and I feel instantly better if there's anything like that I'm not feeling at peace with, right? So at the beginning, I was already like, man, I'm not feeling it. Maybe I should just go home. And the little hummingbirds like flying, like, come on, and I'm like, oh. And so whatever. Next thing you know, I'm climbing the whole mountain, and I end up finding right as I'm getting to the top. Right, it was pretty. I struggled, right, because I just wasn't feeling it, but I pushed myself. Um, and I find this little feather, right, and that little feather was like all I really needed, right, because it was like it started with the hummingbird. It looked like a hummingbird feather because it was so tiny, right, fit like on the tip of my finger, and at the end it was like and that was one of the first ways they used to communicate with me, right? I would find feathers whenever I was going through something like whoa, or even when I found my red tail hawk feathers, all that, right? Very like precise, right? Talk about synchronicities. So to wrap it up, right? I started with synchronicities, so that would became a huge synchronicity thing for me. Like hey, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. The feathers, right? I'll be driving and the little feathers floating in the sky, like out of nowhere, like from on the freeway or on the street or something. My feathers have been very significant, and it's been a while because I think they didn't need to communicate with me anymore with feathers because I would just get it. But for some reason, these feathers, right? And then after that, I made a video at the top. I was like, wow, this meant more than finding an eagle feather, an owl feather. And right away I start walking down, boom, a blue jay feather, then an owl feather, but it was like a different, very specific owl feather, which, I don't find all the time. So there was the owl one, and then it just feathers nonstop. I was just then a woodpecker feather, right? And it's funny, right? Because the blue jay has like blue for the throat chakra. The woodpecker is associated with the root chakra. So there was all these things going on, right? And I just found it interesting. They were really communicating with me today. So many feathers. There were just feathers for days. And there's times I'll climb the whole mountain, not one feather, like nothing, nothing. And so today it was just like feathers nonstop. So I felt very like embraced by the spirit world, right? And then I get this book today. I ordered it. So yeah, it looks complete. I think I'm probably gonna release it in my fourth book. This one's not, so much like I wrote the book, but I did, I had to write all the notes, everything that I had to ask, hey, who's in this picture? Unfortunately, my dad wasn't, he's already 74, right? So it's not like, some people he was able to, I recognize that person, this and that, or I recognize that person, but I don't remember their name. So I try to do my best, historically, to try to identify people in the book. So, that's why it's called Mi Familia, a historical look at Mexico through my family's eyes. The book of old number 4, right? So, I don't know if when I'll put it out, maybe soon, maybe in August, I'll pick a date and just boom, publish it. And then that'll be it, right? Since I self-published, like nothing really holds me back from doing what I need to do. What else? I think that's it. I'll end it there. There's some other stuff I had on mind, but I'll end it there because I think I talked enough. You know, um, yeah, maybe I'll make a video tomorrow, right? And then I'll post it. All right, cool. Thank you for listening. And if you haven't checked it out, check out the interview with Ana Cecilia or all the other ones, right? But I still see people watching my older videos. So thank you to everybody that's taking an interest. And a lot of times when they say, "Oh, thank you," like something I said in a video, that means even more, right? So it lets me know that nothing is wasted, that I did everything I'm supposed to do, or I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's a beautiful thing, right? So on that note, I'll leave it. Hope you guys are all well, and that's it. Peace.